Hello and welcome to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. Thank you for joining me here this morning. We got a lot to go over here and a lot to unpack, so let's get right into it. We got here a significant severe weather outbreak expected this week, along with a massive snowstorm on the backside here we'll be talking about in this video. Now, the day one categorical outlook here has an enhanced risk for severe weather as we head into portions of central and north central Arkansas, inching its way back here into far eastern portions of Oklahoma, with a general slight risk here surrounding it down into northeast Texas, southeastern Oklahoma, much of Arkansas, southern portions here of Missouri, southern Illinois, western Kentucky, and western Tennessee. This does include here Memphis, Tennessee, up toward Carbondale, Illinois here, Paducah, Kentucky, getting back here towards near the Fort Smith area, maybe just to the north of there. And then back toward Dallas, Fort Worth, and Texarkana here as we head through today, with a marginal risk here surrounding that as well. Now, a significant hatch tornado, 10% tornado zone here of a significant tornado or possible here. This is centered on Little Rock, Arkansas, getting back here into far eastern portions here of Oklahoma, with a general 2 and 5% risk of tornadoes here surrounding that, getting down toward the Dallas, Fort Worth area, and then getting up towards here, like western Kentucky, Memphis, getting up towards Carbondale and Paducah as well. And then that's significant hatched 15% and 30% hatched zone for large hail of 2 inches or larger as we head into later today here, centered on Arkansas once again, the highest zone around the Little Rock area, Jonesboro getting over towards Fort Smith, and then getting down here toward Dallas, Fort Worth here into portions of southeastern Oklahoma. 2-inch or larger hail, golf ball size or larger, can be expected. And then a general 15% risk here of wind, with a 5% risk here surrounding that. Now, as we look to tomorrow's outlook, this is the SPC's Day 2 categorical outlook. They did come out with an outlook here just a few minutes ago. I wish I would have put it in here, but this was the outlook here until the 12:30 update as we head into today. This is the enhanced risk of severe weather covering most of central and western Iowa, all the way down into northwestern Missouri, far eastern Nebraska, getting down into east central Kansas, east central portions here of Oklahoma, and northeast and central Texas here as well. This does include the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Kansas City, Des Moines, Iowa, and getting up here towards Omaha, Nebraska here as well, with a very large slight risk zone here surrounding that for much of the state of Arkansas, Louisiana, east central Texas, much of Missouri, getting into eastern Iowa, southwestern and western portions of Wisconsin, and even southern portions of Minnesota as well. And this does include La Crosse, Wisconsin, Dubuque, Iowa, getting down here into Kirksville, Missouri, Joplin, Missouri, also Springfield, Missouri as well, Little Rock, Jonesboro, Fort Smith, getting down into Baton Rouge, Shreveport, and into portions around College Station and down towards Houston as well, with the marginal risk here surrounding that. Now, regards to the tornado threat tomorrow, the tornado risk is highest, a 10% hatched tornado risk here for tomorrow from central Iowa down through northwest Missouri, far eastern Nebraska, east central Kansas, and east central Oklahoma. That is where EF2 or stronger type tornadoes here are possible, with a 5 and 2% risk here surrounding that, including much of Illinois, getting down into Arkansas, Louisiana, east central Texas, and nosing its way over toward the Ohio Valley here as well. And a hatched hail risk as well, 30% and even some 15% hatched, a large hail risk of 2-inch or larger hailstones of golf ball size or larger from much of Iowa, getting down into northwestern portions here of Missouri, east central portions here of Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and also down into northeast and central Texas as well, including Dallas, Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Kansas City, Des Moines, Omaha, and maybe even Lincoln, Nebraska here as well. And then getting here on the wind risk, just a general 5 and 15% wind risk here across much of this zone here across the middle of the country, from the upper Midwest down through the central and southern plains here as we head into tomorrow. Now, looking at today's forecast, you can see thunderstorms are ongoing here today across southern Illinois, portions of Missouri. These will continue to push to the east and produce some severe weather here on the tailor end of this system. Some thunderstorms and isolated to widely scattered storms are expected to develop around here, portions of Arkansas around Little Rock, nosing its way down toward the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Then kind of a convective system starts to develop as we head towards the overnight hours, as a very potent low-level jet starts to push into these storms and kind of consolidate into a cold pool along this kind of surface boundary and outflow boundaries. And you can see here some more numerous strong to severe storms possible, especially as you get up here into northeastern Arkansas, the foothills here of Missouri, and getting into western portions here of Kentucky as we head into the overnight hours. And those will continue to push east here in the Tennessee and Ohio valleys, starting to weaken very quickly as they outrun the better dynamics into those regions here to the east, into Tennessee and portions of Kentucky. Now, why is this happening? We do have a lot of warm, moist air coming in off the western Gulf, and that is providing boundary layer dew points here into the middle and upper 60s to near 70 degrees here as you get down toward Dallas, Fort Worth, and Texarkana. So a lot of fuel for these thunderstorms, and these thunderstorms will be efficient rainfall producers as well, and also some frequent lightning here to add another hazard to the severe weather threat as well. So we could have a few tornadoes, potentially a strong tornado as we head into today. Also, here's damaging winds over 60 miles per hour and hail that could be potentially 2 inches or larger in diameter. So some very, very severe type of weather as we head through the day today and into tonight. Looking at the instability or the convective available potential energy parameters, very high across especially west central and central portions of Arkansas, southeastern Oklahoma, and northeast and central Texas. Values around 2,500 to locally 3,500, especially as you get down toward here the Dallas area. And that is concerning because when you have a lot of that energy, these updrafts for the thunderstorms really want to rise with those air parcels here, and that's how you get explosive severe thunderstorm development later today, especially with that low-level jet really punching into those storms. Now, the only concern here with today's kind of and tonight's kind of severe weather mode, especially as you get down into northeast Texas, is the cap. There is going to be a surface-based cap on the atmosphere, especially with southwestward extent into northeast Texas. And also the mixed layer cap is also there in the northeast and central Texas as well, down toward the Dallas area. Now, could the thunderstorms here develop? Yes. Into Texas? Yes, they very well could. All the parameters are there, but the cap on the atmosphere here will kind of prohibit some of these storms from really growing tall and being explosive down into Texas. Now, if these storms do manage to develop into northeast Texas here later today with that very strong low-level jet, yes, they could tap into that energy, all that instability that I was showing you, and break through that cap and produce some very severe weather. So have to keep an eye on that. Don't disregard the severe weather threat in northeast Texas today because it is still there, even though there's a cap on the atmosphere. A little less of a cap here into Arkansas, so these thunderstorms should have no problem developing up in those regions here later today. Now, like I said, a lot of shear here, some shear parameters here getting together, especially centered up on Arkansas, getting into Oklahoma, southeastern portions here of, Missouri, southern Illinois, western Kentucky, far western Tennessee. Those are kind of the areas where the instability and also the wind shear kind of overlap. So that's why the Storm Prediction Center has gone ahead and put an enhanced risk for severe weather in those zones. They're feeling more confident in more discrete modes of severe weather. Also here, the potential for a strong tornado or two as we head into tonight, along with here the most coverage of severe weather here without that cap here across Arkansas and getting up toward the foothills here of Missouri. A little less shear down into northeast Texas here, but enough to produce some explosive thunderstorm development. You got shear around 40 or so knots, so that is more than enough, coupled with all that instability close to around 3,500 down near the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and you could have some explosive supercell structures here as we head into late today. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. You can see the supercell composite very well. I mean, the highest values of course, on this is across portions of an enhanced risk zone here in the central portions of Arkansas, but there are values down into northeast Texas as well, and also some values of significant tornado parameters centered on central portions of Arkansas around the Little Rock, Jonesboro area, getting back toward Fort Smith, Conway, and then here's some decent values getting down toward the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So that's why a significant tornado of an EF2 or stronger is possible, especially across Arkansas here where the better shear is. Now, I did take a sounding here of Little Rock, Arkansas, and it does show a PDS tornado hazard tag on it. Very impressive photograph here. These storms will be shooting up here with tops that could be very tall. Winds at the surface coming out of the southeast, you go a few thousand feet up, they'll be screaming here out of the south and west and the west-southwest. So a lot of turning in the winds of the atmosphere, and that's what this photograph is showing. So some pretty impressive, wind shear and speed shear across the lower levels of the atmosphere around Little Rock, Arkansas. And here the decape up to around 797. So at the very least, winds could be even over 70 miles an hour with some of these storms, with the decape up over, and close to the 800 mark on this here sounding. So looking at here tomorrow, regarding tomorrow's threat that I was showing you here, after today's threat, all will be quiet here across most of the center of the country. Maybe some showers, a couple of, garden variety and elevated thunderstorms across portions of northwestern Iowa, getting into southwestern portions of Minnesota. Those thunderstorms that I was showing you before kind of starting to weaken as they head into the Ohio and Tennessee valleys. And then as we head into the late afternoon, everything is quiet, maybe some clouds bubbling up here across the region, starting to see signs here of the severe weather here taking shape. Then thunderstorms will start to develop across portions of Nebraska, getting up into South Dakota, and they'll inch their way down here across the central and southern plains as we head into tomorrow afternoon and develop a QLCS or even a squall line here from western and central Iowa, maybe even far southern portions here of Minnesota down through northwestern Missouri, east central portions of Nebraska, inching its way down toward Oklahoma and Texas here with time. And this could be the kicker for some significant tornadoes of EF2 or stronger, some 2-inch or larger, golf ball size hail or larger, and also 70 plus mile per hour wind gusts can definitely be expected, especially in the leading edge of this here kind of QLCS or squall line that develops, especially as that very strong low and mid level jet punches in here with the speed maximum around portions here of Iowa, getting down into portions of Missouri as we head into the overnight hours. This will start to fall apart with the better dynamics here, kind of outrunning the better instability here as we head into Wednesday morning, with maybe some outflow boundaries pushing into eastern Iowa, central and western portions here of Missouri, down into northeast Texas or northeast Oklahoma rather, as we head into Wednesday morning. Now, why is this happening with this? Yet again, the Gulf of Mexico here in the Western Gulf will be open for business, mid to even upper 60 dew points to near 70-degree dew points all the way down into Texas. Dew points will be rising to the lower to middle 60s as far north here as southern Iowa, central Illinois, some even mid 50 dew points across northern Illinois, central portions of Iowa, and that will be plenty of fuel for some not only efficient rainfall producers with some frequent lightning, but also here some hail, some very large hail at that, and also some significant tornadoes at EF2 or stronger, and especially I'm concerned around this warm front area across Iowa, back into portions here of northwest Missouri, northeastern portions of Kansas, and east central portions here of Nebraska for its the highest chance, the greatest concern for the significant tornadoes near that warm front here as well, with more of a surge coming in here behind that cold front. Look at all that dry air to the west. I mean, it could have a dew point in Wichita, Kansas of the mid 60s, and then you go a couple hours west and dew points will be in the 20s. So a very sharp contrast with that very strong, sharp dry line, and that will be the lifting mechanism for these explosive thunderstorms as we head into late tomorrow afternoon and especially tomorrow evening. This will be an overnight threat across the upper Midwest into the central and southern plains. So we do have to keep our eyes open, have multiple ways to get warnings, whether it's a weather radio or it's on TV or your mobile phone or any devices that you can get here, a tablet. Just get here multiple ways, at least 3 different ways to get warnings here as you're sleeping at night here if you have to go to sleep, because tomorrow is going to be a very volatile day across the enhanced and slight risk zones, even the marginal risk zone as well. So do want to be on guard for that, as overnight tornadoes are more dangerous and more deadly here statistically than during the day. Now, looking at this here, the instability, your convective available potential energy, high values to almost extreme values across portions of the central portions of the plains. You could have values into most of Missouri, east central Kansas, getting down to central and eastern Oklahoma, much of east central Texas, getting into that 2,000 to 3,000 plus joule per kilogram range, and you can have the instability kind of waning with northward extent here just to the north of that warm front, but still there enough to produce some severe weather. Now there is another cap on the atmosphere as we head into tomorrow, a more impressive cap than we are having today. Surface-based cap going to be very explosive here, with not a lot of upward motion here with with regards to rising air parcels as we head into late tomorrow afternoon. But once that cold front or dry line pushed to the east, that could be enough with all that very impressive, speed maximum with that jet stream pushing right overhead to lift up at that lid or that cap off the atmosphere and get these thunderstorms to go. But this is almost like a steel wall of a cap here across portions, especially along that warm front here into portions of Iowa into central Illinois. So might have some trouble along that warm front. But if we can get any storms to develop, especially along that triple point or that warm front, definitely going to keep an eye out for some significant tornadoes, maximum here threat of significant tornadoes across that area. And like I said, the reason why I'm thinking that is because the shear output here as we head into late tomorrow afternoon and the evening going to be highest across Iowa into portions of east central Nebraska, northwestern northern Missouri, into northeastern Kansas. And this could provide the fuel. We can break through that cap of some very intense severe weather here. And that is showing up here on the supercell composite, some very high values. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen widespread values of the supercell composite here pushing way up here on the scale. So definitely some significant severe weather on the way. And look at the values of the significant tornado parameter. I mean, this is almost maxed out on the scale across especially east central Kansas, getting up into eastern Nebraska, southwestern Iowa, even some values getting down toward the Dallas-Fort Worth area and Oklahoma City. So some pretty high values, pretty widespread across the central and southern plains. So do want to be on the lookout for that. I did take a sounding of near Omaha, Nebraska, and it is showing a PDS tornado tag on it. Look at that hodograph. I mean, it is almost a classic hodograph. We could have classic supercell structures here with this if we can break through that cap as we head through the afternoon and evening hours across portions of Nebraska into Iowa, down into Kansas and Missouri as well. Look at the decape, over 1,000. So at the very least, potentially here up to 75 miles per hour wind gusts can be possible. With any storms outside of that tornado threat here. We got winds at the surface out of the southeast here, but a few thousand feet up out of the southwest. So a very strong speed shear, also some very strong turning of the winds with height, and that's why that tag is PDS tornado here for the Omaha area. And then here near Oklahoma City, just a tornado tag, but still an oppressive hodograph there. I mean, these thunderstorms will be lifting way up in the atmosphere with all that instability. We got decape in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, of approaching 1,500 joules per kilogram. Folks, that is enough to produce 90 plus mile per hour wind gusts here in a very strong downdraft with this system. So we are very concerned about this. Look at all that speed shear here across the lower and middle part of the atmosphere across Oklahoma City. That is with that very strong low and mid-level jet and that here trough starting to take a negative tilt as we head towards Tuesday and Wednesday. And that is really going to put a lot of here storms and make them severe as we head into our Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, looking at the Wednesday threat here, you can see a very large enhanced risk. It has also been a long time since I've seen a risk here, the day 3 enhanced risk, this widespread. This does cover most of Arkansas, north central Louisiana, eastern portions here of Texas, north central portions here, or just most of Mississippi, western and middle Tennessee, western Kentucky, getting up here into west central and southwestern portions of Indiana. Also most of Illinois here, getting into central Illinois, eastern Illinois, and into the foothills here in Missouri, southeast Missouri, with a very large slight risk zone of level 2 out of 5 across that, going all the way up to the central Wisconsin area around the Wisconsin Dells, over toward La Crosse, Green Bay, Madison, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, and then here kind of getting over toward the southwestern portions of Michigan, western Ohio, getting down towards, Crossville, Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee, getting down here into portions of Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, getting down towards New Orleans, and over towards, Waco and College Station here as well. The significant zone of severe weather here, a very large area here covering pretty much the entire state of Arkansas, most of the state of Mississippi, north central portions here of Louisiana, northeast Texas, getting up here into central and western Tennessee, western portions here of Kentucky, southwestern portions of Indiana, and southern, and maybe even getting up towards central portions of Illinois here with the new update, I think, here, as this may be pulled northward. We'll have to see how that works as we head through time. Now I'm going to look at the European model because there are some timing differences with the NAM and the European, kind of the global and short-term models. Not that one of these will be right or the other one will be wrong, but I'm just showing this European model because it has been very consistent over the last several runs And it is also here more of a kind of a highly regarded model across the model suite here. Now, I'm not going to put all my money in the bank that this model is going to be right, but it has been very consistent. So I look at trends here in the models as we head through time here for the last several runs, and this model has trended slower and has also trended more consistent here than all of the other models, kind of rather than bouncing around here with the timing of that passage of the cold front through the Midwest and in the lower Missouri Valley as we head into portions of Wednesday. So this is around Wednesday morning. Some ongoing thunderstorms across here the Tennessee Valley into the lower Missouri Valley, and then thunderstorms will explode once again across the upper Midwest, getting down here into the Missouri Valley, into the the Arklatex region. We could have some nasty thunderstorms in that enhanced risk zone, and that'll only continue with a QLCS or squall line developing as we head through the evening hours and the overnight hours here on Thursday, and that'll continue to push east into Indiana, down through middle Tennessee, inching its way down toward the Jackson, Mississippi area, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham. Be on the lookout, and this will continue to surge east and kind of fall apart with the better dynamics outrunning that instability as we head toward Thursday, so we'll have to watch out for that. Dew points will be rising into the lower 60s, even middle 60s as far north here as central and northern Wisconsin. Even portions here of Michigan seeing some dew points in the 60s. We could have a 60-degree dew point or so here near Chicago, mid-60 dew points down towards St. Louis, even upper 60s to near 70-degree dew points here as you get down toward the Gulf Coast states around Louisiana, New Orleans, getting down toward Houston, getting up even toward Shreveport. Dew points could be approaching 70 here later tomorrow afternoon. Now, this is where I'm getting concerned. This does take a negative tilt as we head into tomorrow afternoon. Very strong speed maximum here across portions of the Central Plains into the Midwest region, and this just to the east of that, where a QLCS or a squall line will develop and produce some significant wind, potentially significant tornadoes, the EF2 strength or stronger on Wednesday, and also potentially 2-inch or larger hail with all that instability, especially with southward extent into Arkansas, Missouri, southern Illinois, and getting down into Mississippi and Louisiana and Tennessee and even into Alabama with time. And that speed maximum just gets even stronger as we head to the evening hours as it kind of just pushes to the east, taking the negative tilt here with it. And it is producing a lot of wind with that kind of wall of wind here with the QLCS, with embedded QLCS tornadoes as well, well into the overnight hours. We could have a tornado threat well into the overnight hours here on Wednesday into Thursday morning. So do want to be on the lookout for that. Now, while the Storm Prediction Center does not have a 15% or slight risk zone across the Ohio Valley down into the Tennessee Valley at all here in their outlooks, I do think a marginal risk here is possible, at least across these areas here as we head into Thursday. Not a lot of instability I'm seeing with them here, regarding a lot of these models here as we head into the day on Thursday, but enough to produce maybe some few strong thunderstorms and isolated severe threat here centered on the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley into the southeast as this front continues to push to the east with this very potent low pressure up to around 978 millibars pushing into Canada with that very massive snowstorm here on the backside of it as well. I'll be talking about that here in just a moment. Day one excessive rainfall outlook, a slight risk of flash flooding, a 10 to 20% chance here of flash flooding across central and western Kentucky, southern Illinois, southern Indiana, portions of the foothills here, and southeastern portions of Missouri, northeastern Arkansas, and middle and western Tennessee. This does include Nashville, up toward Louisville, Carbondale, down towards Paducah, and then getting down here toward the Little Rock area and Jonesboro and portions around there as well. And then a slight risk zone here, and even marginal risk zone of flash flooding as we head into Wednesday, the day 3 outlook here of flash flooding as we get up here, a slight risk from the entire state of Mississippi, eastern portions of Louisiana down toward Baton Rouge and New Orleans, Jackson, Mississippi, Nashville, getting up toward Indianapolis, even a marginal risk of flash flooding around Chicago, back up toward Green Bay, Detroit, even toward Kalamazoo, getting over towards Cincinnati, and getting down towards Knoxville and down here into portions of the deep south and southeast as well. With that, the reason why that is the case is because our next 72 hours going through and ending on Thursday, April 14th here in the morning hours, another significant zone of 1 to 3 plus inches here with locally higher amounts across here the Ohio and Tennessee valleys into the south, with some rainfall here up into the upper Midwest approaching an inch or so here with those heavier storms and stronger storms as well. Now there is a cold side to this and a massive snowstorm at that. This will be pushing into the North Dakota region with some snowfall here as we head toward the midday portion of Tuesday as tomorrow. And then as we head into the overnight hours, a lot of heavy snow. Snowfall rates could be 1 to 2 inches per hour across this zone here of North Dakota, getting back into Montana. This will continue to push up to the north and still snowing pretty heavily across especially northern North Dakota back toward northeast Montana as we head toward the midday Wednesday, and still snowing here as we head into Wednesday evening across North Dakota and here inching its way over toward northern Minnesota with time. Still some lingering snow showers here as we head to midday Thursday. So it's here a several day period of some snow, some moderate to heavy snow across this area with even some lingering flurries here as we head into Thursday evening. Now on the back side of this, a very strong northwesterly flow here will be pushing in, wrapping around this very intense low pressure system, and you could have surface gradient winds here with a very close and strong isobars close together with winds out of the northwest here sustained at 25 to 35 miles an hour. We could have wind gusts approaching 60 miles per hour across especially North Dakota, and that will create blizzard conditions. And that is why the National Weather Services have gone out, especially for central and western North Dakota, getting back into eastern portions of Montana and far northwestern portions of South Dakota, have gone out and put in blizzard warnings out for these areas here as we head into the next couple of days. Even the winter storm watches across most of here, the rest of North Dakota, into north central portions of South Dakota, into northwestern Minnesota, and even winter storm warnings taking effect back into portions here of Wyoming, far western South Dakota, and much of here in Montana as we have that big snow coming. A lot of cold here on the backside too, some single digits back into Wyoming and southern portions here of, Montana, some teens and 20s getting back while it's snowing here. So some fluffier, wet snow to start, turning fluffier during the event here, and that's why those totals will start to ramp up. This is one of the computer forecast models, the short-term model, the NAM from last night, and it is showing a good swath of 12 to 18 plus inches of snow across centered, on portions of North Dakota back into eastern Montana. And this is another computer forecast model, the RDPS, kind of a branch of the Canadian model, and you can see here showing around 2 feet of snow centered on portions here of North Dakota, with up to 20 inches across eastern Montana, up to a foot or so in the far northwestern portions here of South Dakota as well. And then the GFS model run from last night as well is showing, some pretty nice values around, 12 to 18 inches here across the zone in North Dakota. And then the UK model here that we look at as well, up to around a foot to even a foot and a half of snow here across North Dakota. So a lot of confidence in a very massive snowstorm, especially for North Dakota, but also South Dakota, Wyoming, and also into portions here of Montana, and even northern and northwestern portions of Minnesota here as well. So do be sure to like my video here and to subscribe to my channel here for the latest content. And if you do have any questions, do not hesitate to ask, as I will have here the answer for that. I'll be here all day to answer those questions. Do be sure to subscribe to my channel, however, as I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers here toward the middle and end of the month here. And I do appreciate everybody watching, and I hope everybody stays safe out there with the snowstorm and the severe weather here this coming week. I hope everybody stays safe and have a great and happy Monday out there, everybody.